Welcome to Nugget 265 with Steve and Dana Groman, and we certainly appreciate those of you who are continuing to pray for us and for Steve to be completely rehabilitated so he can get back onto the Nuggets and we can get back on the road. In the last Nugget, we talked about an article from a Discover magazine about pictures that saved Yellowstone, and I mentioned this book that I had, An Eye for History, the paintings of William Henry Jackson. He was not only a great photographer, he was considered an explorer and a painter. This is a book by Dean Knutson, and they referred to him getting on the journey starting June 8th, 1871, and going to Yellowstone. William Henry Jackson's photographs of Yellowstone established him as one of America's premier photographers, and he has taken photographs of most of the West amazing geologic and geographic places. The caption for this photo says, "Such relaxed moments as portrayed in this informal portrait of Jackson, dated 1869-1870, were rare. Besides operating a photographic studio in Omaha, Nebraska, he married Molly Greer on May 10th, 1869, and the next year he accompanied the U.S. Geological Survey on its first expedition to Yellowstone Country in Wyoming." This is an exceptionally cool photograph. In 1871, William Henry Jackson made his second trip into the wilds of Wyoming with the U.S. Geological Survey under the leadership of Ferdinand Hayden, and I mentioned that Hayden Valley of Yellowstone is named for him. The expedition entered the legendary Yellowstone country. In this photograph of an informal meal, Jackson is standing to the right while Hayden is seated in front of him. That's just so awesome. And this is a photograph in 1934 at Yellowstone National Park when they sponsored a special exhibit of the work of William Henry Jackson. In this photograph, the men are identified as Farley, Jackson, and Wyoming Governor O'Mahony. And back to this article, they talked about the pictures that saved Yellowstone, and their first photograph was of the Grand Canyon, the lower falls, and this is another photograph from this book of the lower falls of the Yellowstone, which was taken by Jackson in 1871. Images such as this were very popular and were sold as prints and stereo cards, which, when seen through a special viewer, appeared to be three-dimensional. And when I did the Saturday Travel and History Tips on the Grand Hotels in New England, a lot of the pictures were the stereograph type cards. That was just what was done in that time frame. It's very, very interesting to study the different photographic techniques that have been used over the years. And this is quite amazing. Under this photograph, it says, William Henry Jackson's contribution to the advance of transportation technology was his dark room on wheels. Developed during the time he was based in Omaha, Jackson used this rig while photographing local Indian tribes. Here he is at Yellowstone Lake. He was actually a golfing fan and not a fisherman, but he did really well that day, it appeared, and here is a photograph of when we were at Yellowstone Lake. One of the final paintings that are in this book is this one. It is entitled Westward America. William Henry Jackson tells the story of the advances made in transportation in the United States. Moving from left to right, the viewer is shown how the earliest Americans had to get around on foot. In time, the horse is acquired, allowing both more rapid mobility and the hauling of heavier loads. Progress continues through the use of pack horses, ox-drawn wagons, stagecoaches, railroads, and ending in automobiles. At the far right, there is even an airplane, showing that commercial aviation can improve our mobility even more. Intended as a visual story of the evolution of transportation. Why do they have to throw that word in? It's just the changes in transportation. Drives me crazy. But anyway, the painting can just as well be seen as a commentary on some of the changes that had occurred in America during the artist's lifetime. See how simple it was just to use the word change. At the time of his birth in 1843, the most common method of getting around was still on foot. I am so glad to see this photograph. And it states, during the last decade of his life, commercial aviation was becoming quite common. Journeys that had required months could now be completed in hours. Here Jackson is disembarking from an American Airlines DC3 in March 1939. There have been other historical figures like Oregon Trail's Ezra Meeker. These gentlemen got to ride on an airplane before their deaths. And speaking of death, on April 4th, 1942, William Henry Jackson celebrated his 99th birthday. Sadly, it was to be his last, as he passed away 3 months later. A revealing note on the back of this photograph simply reads, 100 Springs. You might want to go back to Nuggets 206, 207, and 208, where we featured more information on Yellowstone National Park, including a photo journal. In the next Nugget, we will talk about the 500-year flood event that occurred not so long ago in Yellowstone and give you some pictures and talk about this. Share our content with your friends and family. Help us grow our channel. If you appreciate our content, tell others and repost on your social platforms. Follow us on Facebook, A Creation Seminar, and on YouTube, Steve Groman. Like, subscribe, and hit that little bell so that you'll be notified when we post new nuggets and Saturday travel and history tips. And if you appreciate these videos and you can partner with us on a monthly or one-time basis, we would be most appreciative. Our phone number is 603-616-8907. You can call or text anytime. Thank you.